death, and aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney.
And I'm MK. I'm sorry, I just almost like burped right when I had
Are
to
you?
talk.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I just was gonna burp, but then it was in the middle of your introduction, and then I was like, oh,
Mm,
that's embarrassing.
yeah.
Fine.
I appreciate no interruptions. No interruptions, please. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I had my birthday party on Saturday, and it was so much fun. We played Cards Against Prithian, which is the ACOTAR themed Cards Against Humanity. Um,
Bonkers.
um, and we had all ACOTAR themed charcuterie boards. Everybody brought one. And you know how there was too much food at my bachelorette charcuterie board night?
Hmm.
Well, I didn't learn my lesson.
Sure. Why would you?
And then I also invited Amy and Ashley, who Amy owns a bakery, and her and Ashley have never under prepared food in their lives. You've seen my kitchen. My
Mhm.
entire kitchen island had food on it. There were seven of us.
A feast for each of you.
Yeah. We decided that next time we do this, because we would like to keep having game nights, next time we do this, we're going to assign people to rotate and only two people will bring food instead of all seven of us.
Totally fair. Totally fair.
Um, but it was really fun. We played the game, like we played games and like we ate food and then we kind of just like were like chatting when we were talking about stuff because it's like it was Jill and then Caitlin and Chrissy and Ashley and Amy and Mo, who I work with at Shays. So it was like four different like sections of my life, but we put all the puzzle pieces together. But it was like it was just genuinely like so much fun and they all got along and I knew they would and it was like fantastic. Um, but then one of the things that we were talking about is other than Jill, everyone in that group is married and three of the seven of us have kids, and so Amy has a son, Kate and Chrissy both have kids. Ashley and I both want kids soon. Like, and we're whatever. So, like, it's like all your wine drunk mom friends. Like, and I was like, that's my jam. That's my vibe. I'm not like
Yeah.
a party person anymore. But so we were just like talking about crazy stuff. And one of the things we were talking about is like when your husband does stupid shit or like trying to like explain to your single friends why being married is sometimes the greatest thing in the world and sometimes what is happening. And I was talking about Dan and his singing. And I was like, listen, Dan is a wonderful singer. He sings professionally. He gets paid to sing. I love listening to him sing. I go, but Dan doesn't just sing songs. He turns every thought in his head into a song and sings all of the time. And usually it doesn't really bother me. But when I'm driving and it's on my car radio, like my phone is plugged into my car, it just comes out of my speakers at a pitch that I physically cannot handle. Like and he'll start singing and I'll just be like, no. And he knows, like we've talked about it, that just can't do it while I'm driving because of the car radio. I'll just like, no. And he's like, I know. And they were like, you're being ridiculous. I go, no, no, I'm not. You guys you don't understand. So then Dan gets home. He had a concert that night, so that's why we were there, but everybody's still there when he got home from the concert. And we're talking, he's chatting with us, blah, blah, blah. And then we're like, go in the food, like, or in the kitchen, get some food, like, make yourself a plate. He walks in the kitchen and immediately starts singing to himself about the food. And they all looked at me and I go, I wasn't lying. Like, I wasn't lying. I didn't make it up. This is every day of my life. Which the only reason I'm focusing on that part of the story is because it's a really good thing for all of our listeners slash viewers that my microphone has a really nice filter on it because Dan had concerts this weekend and so he had a heavy rehearsal schedule last week. He like rehearsed like 4 of the 5 days last week. And so they gave them off today. Usually we record on Mondays and Dan has rehearsal. So I have the house to myself. I can just record and be done. but he
Mhm.
is home, which means that from my downstairs, I keep hearing random sounds. Sometimes it's the TV, mostly, or sometimes it's very loud videos on his phone. Mostly, it's whatever noise he is making to entertain himself.
Bless his heart.
And I love him so much. But this actually might be a check in the column of he isn't a serial killer because he'd give himself away because he'd sing a song while doing it
That's
and then
probably,
he'd get
but
caught.
but did we see how successful Sweeney Todd was as a serial killer? I mean,
He does
he sang the
actually
entire time.
he does actually creepily sing Sweeney Todd songs to me in the dark sometimes.
So we're back in the serial killer column.
Damn it.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But I mean, he was wearing a full tux with like a cummerbund and a bow tie. So like at least he's a classy serial killer.
That's true. At least he's
Yeah.
the classy kind.
Yeah.
Like American Psycho.
I still hate that movie. I still don't get
I mean, I get it. It's not a great movie. Those
it.
are just those are just sometimes things that
Uh,
happen.
yeah. Yeah. So how are you?
I'm fine. I have lost my mind today because as I mentioned, if you listen to Sunday's episode, I haven't slowed down in 75 hours, it feels like.
Wow.
Um, so I just keep like my brain is like, no, we've stopped. Let's do other things. So in the last episode, I don't know if you noticed, I unscrewed the part of my desk that was messed up. That's what I did for the last like 5 minutes to 10 minutes of our last episode was I was unscrewing the barrier that sometimes rattles on my desk. Um,
I mean, to be fair, if anyone watches our
it's been
episodes on
removed.
if anyone watches our episodes on YouTube and sees me in the Thriller Thursday episodes just kind of glazed over while I'm listening to you and talking, it's because we often record so late at night that I am playing games on my phone physically just to keep myself awake. I'm fully listening to the conversation. It doesn't seem like I have any idea what's going on.
Yeah, my brain has just started wandering on its own. I am also here, and also because my dad is obsessed with Timu. Um, and so I end up with random weird gadgets. This is one of them. This is one of them. This is a tiny hammer,
I
and
I kind of love that.
it's a tiny what are these pliers? And
Yes.
it has this is show and tell. So if you're not on YouTube, I'm sorry. I don't watch this on YouTube. We talked about this earlier, so it's
Yeah.
okay if you don't either. It has a knife, protection and whatnot. It has a saw and something. I'm not really sure what this little notch is for, but probably something important. It has another like serrated knife, but with a like flathead screwdriver at the end, and it has a Phillips head screwdriver. And so I
Where did
just
you say you got this?
my dad got it from Timu.
I'm
Um,
obsessed.
and so it's just this little handy dandy little thing, and it's just so tiny, but it's so perfect. But in the middle of the episode, I remembered that I had it, which is why I started digging to the side and then was moving my arm very strangely and looking into weird spaces while we were recording. So my brain has just been kind of like running rampant. But I do have a couple of recommendations this week for things that I've been doing. I've not watched as much TV just because I haven't been home. I've been working a lot.
Yeah.
But I read a book I'm doing tonight's my first night of my new book club with my
Okay.
friend Zach. It's new to me, it's not new to everyone. And we read the book Nestlings by Nat Cassidy.
Oh
It's
yeah, I saw that
quite
on your
good.
Goodreads.
It's quite good. If you liked Lock Every Door by Riley Sager is vibes I'm getting.
Okay.
I really liked it, and I listened to I read the first half of the book, and then I
Ran out of time.
panicked in power listened to the second half of the book because I was not finished with it today. And so I had to finish it today. And the audiobook has a note by the author at the end. And he wrote it kind of like during 2021. And like a lot of his family had passed away and like his wife had become disabled. And it's very like interesting. And like after you listen to it, it's based on New York City. Um, highly recommend. Very fun, thrillery, vampire-y, a little bit of everything going on.
Love
And
that.
also probably what I should have mentioned in the last episode because it's about Greek mythology. But I didn't, so here we are. I started therapy last week. That's new.
Wait, okay, two things. One, you literally told me a week ago that you couldn't afford therapy. I mean, I'm glad you started therapy.
So I accidentally started therapy last week.
Okay.
Um,
Two, I'm really lost on where the segue was. Was the Greek mythology related to the book or the therapy?
therapy.
I have questions, but I will allow you to continue.
So I things have been rough, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was looking into BetterHelp again, which I also can't really afford.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't realize when you get to a certain point, it just charges your card and you're just signed up with BetterHelp.
Oh,
Um, so that happened and I've paid for the month. Which then meant I had to like work in overtime. I had to work like 4 more hours that day to like
mhm.
pay for it, which I did. Everything's fine. I'm gonna survive.
Okay.
Um, so I signed up for therapy. So then I was like, well, if I paid for it, I may as well have a session like tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so so then I had my session. And this all came down to she was like, you really have to find something that like gets you distracted and like keeps your mind like going and you going as a person because you're not basically and it just reminded me that I'm like I love video games and they're always the thing that kind of bring me down, like bring me back down to earth. And I was like, this feels like therapy homework if I do video games.
Yeah.
Like this feels like A plus B.
Sure.
And so that was my excuse to play way too many video games this weekend. But I do feel like so much better as a person. So, like, I don't know if you've all looked at me in the past year and a half, but I feel like I look more relaxed as a person, and I feel more relaxed as a person, even though things are still pretty chaotic. So the game that I've that I've found that I'm obsessed with is called Mythwrecked, and it's you're shipwrecked on this island that turns out to be the Greek gods, but they've all lost their memories. And so you have to like go and get to like know them and you have to like find their unburied memories. And so like you have to bring you have to bring like Hermes his shoes and his wings and stuff like that. And then as they start getting more of their items together, their memories start coming back. And then they also ask you favors of things to like make the island better. And so Hermes asked that you feed the birds with the treats he gave you, and Zeus asked you to like put on like the string of lights so he can have so like you to light up all the different
So you
areas.
can have sex with everyone. What?
Yeah, pretty much. He's got some kind of weird party going on. They're all like so whacked out too. Like they're like
Oh,
if you made a 90s video game about the Greek gods in their 20s or 30s. Like
done. I'm
that's the
in.
vibe. And
What?
so they're all
What?
a little strange.
But is this for the Xbox?
Yeah, it's for Xbox.
Yeah, I don't have Xbox.
It's on Game Pass, which is how I've discovered. I mean, I don't know if they have it on other sites. They may have it on like PC or Switch or something else. But
I only have a
um,
PlayStation 5 right now.
well, I don't know. I could tell you, but it's so much fun, and it's like because then you get the stories from them, and it tells you like the stories of the characters and like the actual Greek gods and stuff, and like it's like oh this person may have wanted to lose their memories because they went through this really hard time, and like it's like Athena and Aphrodite and
Man, the
Hades.
graphics are terrible.
Oh no, they're not bad. This is just the internet. The
Oh,
graphics are fine on the actual like
oh, because I
game. Oh,
mean,
it's on PlayStation 5,
oh, okay. No,
so you can play it too.
I mean, the graphics do look cheesy though. Oh no, I mean, the
Yeah,
characters
no,
look weird. The
the characters
characters
look
are,
weird. Yeah,
but the graphics are not bad. Huh,
yeah.
interesting.
So that's been my obsession this week, and it's super fun, and it's like a little story, and I just love it.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So that's where I
Except,
am this
hold on,
week.
except for when I typed in PS5. Oh no, it does say available on PlayStation 5.
Mhm.
Because it says play now using the Xbox Cloud Gaming. But I don't know why it would ask me that because I don't have an
I don't know
Xbox.
either. I just searched Mythrict and it was like, here's all of the systems you can play it on.
Yeah,
PlayStation 5 was
I
the first
found
one.
that part,
So,
but the first thing was like play it on your
um,
Xbox Cloud. And I was like, I don't have an Xbox Cloud. What?
I don't know.
I mean, I have a Microsoft
Anyways,
account, so I guess technically I have an
yeah,
Xbox Cloud. I
that could
don't
be what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
so that's how I am. Do you want to give us a little quote before we get into this episode?
I sure do. This one is all right. Um, well, this one's actually kind of cute because this is from the part of season 2 where Meredith gets the dog. But
Mhm.
400 years ago, another well-known English guy had an opinion about being alone. John Donne. He thought we were never alone. Of course, it was fancier when he said it. No man in his eye is an island entire unto himself. Boiled on that island talk, and he just meant that all anyone needs is someone to step in and let us know we're not alone. And who's to say that the someone can't have four legs? Someone to play with or run around with or just hang out.
That's
So
nice though.
that's actually a
That's
nice
nice.
one. Thanks.
Yeah. Um, sorry. Um, so today we are talking. I just my brain is so distracted today. So I'm sorry, everyone, hang tight with me. So today we are talking about Hannibal, season 3, episode 12. The number of the beast is 666. It is the penultimate episode. We have one more episode left after this. I do hope my computer does not actually ding in the recording when I get a message. Did you hear any dinging on my
No,
end?
no.
Amazing. Amazing. It aired August 22nd, 2015. It was rated 8.9 out of 10. Um, the number one song is Can't Feel My Face by The Weeknd, which really stresses me out because I remember this song being big when I started law school, and that doesn't feel like 10 years ago, even though that was 10 years ago.
It sure was.
And that is very stressful. That's a very stressful time. Like I have vivid memories for all of this.
Nope, I hate it.
Um, yeah. Number one movie still straight out of Compton. Number one book is So Go Set a Watchman. Nothing new there.
Okay.
On this day, there's a lot of war, and I didn't really focus on it. So we had Mei who is a giant panda, um, at the Smithsonian Zoo,
Mm-hmm.
had gave birth, and the identity of the father is not known. And that was it
Why?
felt a like a Jerry Springer moment, like just reading the headline. I was like, so how many pandas do you have in there that you can't identify the father? Um, are we just
Right.
having like wild panda parties? Like, I don't understand. Um, is it like the stingray situation where they're like, maybe they just like have babies, but it's an animal, so like for sure in that. But maybe it's Jesus Panda. Who's to say? Who's to say? Um, the Hugo board announced the winners for or announced their choices for the winners because it was that weekend was the Hugo Awards. And fun fact, the Miss Marvel graphic novel won that year, if you recall that. That was the year the Miss Marvel graphic novel won. And last but not least, um, Dr. Dre apologized, quote, to the women I've hurt. Because after Straight Outta Compton came out, everyone was like, we're just cool with everything now. Like everything's fine. We're not gonna like pretend like these alleged assaults ever happened. And so he did come out and make a statement that he was apologizing, quote, to all the women he hurt.
Well, at least Osama bin Laden's lawyer didn't drop him. Or no, was it Saddam Hussein's lawyer?
And no, it was
It was Osama.
Osama bin
No,
Laden. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What a wild time. What a wild time.
But
Um,
also completely unrelated, but only related in that sense. My sister sent a text today for it was something she saw on Facebook, but she shared it. It said, Osama bin Laden has missed 0 Buffalo Sabres playoff hockey matches since he died. That's how long we haven't had a playoff game.
That's really rough for you. I'm sorry for
Yeah.
your loss
So,
or lack of chance to have a loss.
but also I just find it weird that Osama bin Laden keeps popping up in my life lately.
They're like, this is the last time the world didn't seem weird. We knew how to handle things then.
We knew how to handle things when Osama was around.
Right? We knew he was bad. We go after him. A plus B. Like we got
Now
there.
everyone is bad and no one is bad and nothing makes sense.
Right, correct. Correct. What a fun time. Our directors, Guillermo Navarro, if you couldn't tell. Our writers are Jeff Laming, Steve Lightfoot, and Angela Lamana. I just had like a stroke reading that. It is not a hard name to read. Um, so Angela Mana is obviously new. We have not seen her yet. However, she was um, the assistant showrunner for Hannibal, so she's been involved through
Okay.
everything. So that's why she wrote on this episode. She is known for Haunting of Bly Manor, The Punisher, Dune, and Channel Zero, and not really anything else.
Yeah.
And not really anything
You were
else.
started listing things, and when you went like this, it was like, what's up?
To be fair, that is how I feel about Haunting of Bly Manor. I did like it.
Yeah.
And Channel Zero is one that we've tossed around a bit as like, if we find this in the right spot, people
Right.
keep suggesting it randomly as like one of the top ones for horror.
Yeah.
And then The Punisher and Dune. So, and then she has like very little credits other than that. So like this woman just came in swinging.
Good for her.
Um, I couldn't find a lot of like information about her. It says that she had worked on some like reality TV and stuff before Hannibal, but they did not elaborate. I could have probably dug a little deeper, but I did dig deeper than I intended to and did not find
Yeah.
specifics. And then our editor, Stephen Phillipson. And as you can imagine, because this is the next to last episode of the entire series, we do not have any new cast members to discuss because there are no new cast members, as it should be.
Yeah.
So we start and we are starting to see visuals of another like dead mirror woman. However, it turns out that this is just all in like Will's head. He's thinking about had he not gotten home or had Molly not gotten out, what would have happened?
Right.
I got a little bit confused with the movie because he made it home in the movie. He did not make it home for this, but they did still get out.
Yeah.
And so we hear Will talking about Molly and how she's not dead, but he keeps picturing her as dead and like keeps thinking this over and over and over with, you know, his new therapist, Belinda.
Because that's a logical choice we should be making.
Right. So that makes all the sense in the world.
Healthy decisions are us.
Yeah. Every day with Will. But he says, and she's like, do you see yourself as the one doing it? And he's like, yeah, totally. I'm like, okay, I thought we had gotten out of this. I thought we had grown. I thought we had gotten healthier. No, we are right back in. We see one image of Hannibal and we're like back in it.
Toxic love, my dude.
I know. So she's like talking about the things that Hannibal's taken from him, and he's like, well, what has Hannibal taken from you? And she's like, do you need Hannibal to have taken something from me? And every time this woman asks him a question that she throws back on him about, this is yours and Hannibal's relationship. Did you need me to have the same relationship as you and Hannibal? I'm like, I want to like break your arm.
Here's the problem. I agree, except that she's not wrong. His healing process is entirely independent of her and Hannibal.
Well, it is. Were she
no.
a normal person?
I'm saying she shouldn't be his therapist.
Right.
That's the thing. But as a therapist, if she's going to accurately act as his therapist, That's the correct question. Do you need me to also have a problem to justify your problem? Because
Right.
because we can talk about my problems, but it doesn't change yours.
Right. Which is true.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm
But
torn on that because I don't, in this scene, I don't actually think anything she said was incorrect. It's just that it pisses me off because it's her.
I mean, I think everything she always does is wrong all the time, but it's because I think it's because the tone she says it is almost is
Oh,
like, oh no, we have this other relationship that you guys don't have.
oh yeah, no,
So
I
we
mean,
don't need the same type of, it felt more like we don't have to
oh,
have that because we have something better.
oh,
We
it's
don't need to talk about
condescending.
my
It's
relationship.
condescending as
Yeah.
shit. Condescending as
Right.
shit.
So
But
I think it's less about the what she says and the way
mm,
she says it.
fair.
Because I
So
do agree, you have to focus on your own stuff when you're in therapy.
yeah,
Like that's not about your therapist or other people or whatever.
right.
Um, but you also don't get to find joy in turning people back into murderers that don't need to be murderers or helping, you know, because she's just pushing him over the edge. There's nothing that she's doing to help. Um, so she also is telling him that she's like, oh, I'm not worried about these people on the outside because he's like he has outside people, he's making things happen. Like he's the one who went after my family. And she's like, oh, I'm not worried about that. I have no doubt that Hannibal is not going to kill me unless he can do it himself and eat me. And right now he can't do that. So I'm totally fine. And I was like, again, you're just pushing on all the buttons. And
But
because he
she's
keeps saying
also,
he's like,
again, not wrong.
right, right. But he's like, if you play, you will pay. Like that's the vibe with Hannibal. Like you can't get in unscathed. Or yeah, get in and out unscathed.
Yeah.
Um, and then he like sits there for a minute and because she's talking about, she's like, I want to be like the last Bluebeard's wife. Like, I don't want to be just another person in the line. And he stops for a minute and he's like, is Hannibal in love with me? And
Will, where have you been?
right, like, what planet are you on, sir? And she's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But do you ache for him? And I was like, what twisted romance novel language are we using? Or do
I
you ache for
burn.
him?
I burn.
It was just so wild. But also like, yeah, bro, we all knew this.
Right.
And so then we go to Hannibal and Jack, and Hannibal says that so he's like asking, he's like, who do you think of? He's like, you think you're like the devil and you think about the dragon. And he's like, oh, and the Lamb of God. He's like, oh, of course, Will. And he just keeps talking about the Lamb's wrath, which I mean, obviously we know that's his whole goal is to turn Will into
Yeah.
this insane psychopath. Um, but then they start talking about it, and he's like, well, is that, do you see yourself as God, Jack? And Jack's like, oh, for sure, for sure. And he's like, well, gods always demand a sacrifice. And to be fair,
God
the number of times
sacrifice.
he's sacrificed Will,
Fact, sacrificing the lamb is like
mm,
not biblically accurate.
it's
Ignore
it's not unheard of. Yeah. So that's good. And then we see
Oh, that's
France.
good.
Yeah. So we see Francis just like bleeding all over this painting and scratching himself. It's just a
Being
nightmare.
fucking gross.
Right. And then we hit the credits. So we go back to Will and Jack, and Will knows he's being paid. He's like, I get it. I know this is my role. This has always been my role. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And Belinda, nope, Bloom. I started putting initials, and
Yeah.
now at this very moment, I've realized that Belinda and Bloom both start with B.
They
Um,
they do.
yeah, that's a fun fact for me. That's going to be interesting moving forward today. So Bloom
Well, it
says
should be
that
okay because Belinda's not in any more of the episode.
yes, she is. There's one more scene with her.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. No, no, you're right. But I was like, not really.
yeah, it's a very small scene, but yeah.
Yeah.
So they're talking about all of this, and Bloom's like, yeah, but you used to have a delusion that while you were the bait, that you were also in control. And it's like,
She was like, do you
you,
still have that delusion?
right? It's like you all know that he thinks he's in control while you know he's not, and you still use him for bait. This is really all of your fault. Like,
Correct.
Will has not backed off of it, but I feel like it's your fault too. Like,
No, it is.
and so then,
I this season, Alana is the evil genius. Like she's evil.
Awful.
She's
I
evil
can't
and
deal with her.
awful.
Oh, speaking of, I got my new horror book, my horror notebook, and it's the Book of Evil Plans.
Yes,
Um,
Alana has one of those for sure.
yes, for sure. And so at this point, Will says we should use Freddy. And then we go to Hannibal and Chilton. And they're talking about Hannibal's publications because he has had a lot to say, it seems, about Chilton's writings.
Why are we letting Hannibal write?
Here's the
Like,
forecast for tomorrow.
why are we letting Hannibal?
High of 81 degrees
Oh,
Fahrenheit and a low of
81?
74 degrees.
Bro, it's so hot. It's so hot.
I was like, oh, it's raining here too, but it's raining and it's 39.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awful. It's
Oh,
bad. I
Um,
know.
but no,
Um,
why are we letting Hannibal publish like journals? Like, could you imagine? I'm just trying to think of it. Like, could you imagine if like an actual like academic journal was like, yeah, Charles Manson, you can write for us.
but to be fair, if they were going to let any of the serial killers write for them, he would be the one they choose because he's got the most like manipulation of the mind. Like he
Yes,
seems to work with the mind.
they're not letting Hannibal publish as if he's a serial killer. They're letting
Right.
him publish as if he's still a doctor of psychiatry.
I know, it's so wild.
That's it just
And then Chilton
yeah, it's
turns
like
into
it's no, it's like Ted Bundy writing for a law review.
yeah, for sure.
No.
But he also wasn't a great lawyer. Like
he was
it's
a
not like
he was
excelled in his field.
That's true. He was terrible.
Yeah.
What?
At least Hannibal was good at his field. He was just a bad person.
I was just trying to think of a
Of a
serial
professional
killer
field.
a serial killer who actually had a job.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah, so then Chilton turns into like the 13-year-old whose life has been ruined by the popular girl.
You said I was a liar.
He
Because
says-
I was lying.
Right. He's like, your take is really bitchy. It's like,
Yeah.
what? It's like, okay, Chilton.
He's like,
And
you
then
said
he's like-
everything I wrote was like not well, I don't remember the
He said
wording.
he said it didn't hold up to scrutiny. Hannibal was like, it didn't hold up to scrutiny. And he's like, of course it didn't, because I was lying. He's like you told me, like this is we you knew this was happening.
Right.
Oh my gosh. This was such a funny scene.
For no reason.
So for no reason. Yeah. And then Chilton leaves him a copy of his book. And he's like, here, I've got you a copy. I've left you a special note in there. And I was like, Chilton,
Did we
my
ever
God.
see the note?
Never. We never
Ugh.
know what happens there.
So upsetting.
And so then we go back to our dream team, as I've decided they are now in this book. This book I've written in, not a
right.
written book. Chilton, Will, Freddie, Jack, and Bloom. What a team.
What a freaking team.
We learned that Freddie's been selling t-shirts that say the Tooth Fairy is a one-night stand, which is really humorous
So
and really
funny.
wrong. Shouldn't be doing it. However, at least you're being clever about it.
Right.
I don't think I hate Freddie enough. Like, I'm pretty sure I should hate her more than I do. But I just keep finding her quite clever.
But that's the problem, is because she is clever. Like, she's exactly what's wrong with the media, because she
Right.
is clever. Like, she does things that are funny. She hooks you. She gets you to want to read. Like, newspaper tabloids, like the fucking grocery store aisle magazines, aren't still in publication because no one looks at them.
Yeah. Well, I've started listening to the new episode of Crime Junkie before we got on. And she's talking about the Karen Reed case, which I have no idea. I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't watched any of the trial. Didn't even know there was a mistrial the first time. I am out of.
I'm 10 years behind on podcasts, so I haven't listened to the old Crime Junkie episodes.
Well, like Karen Reed is happening right now in real life, and
No, I
I know a
know
lot of
that.
people are keeping up with it, and I am not. So I'm not caught up on Crime Junkie. I just listened.
No, but I mean, I'm so far behind on crime podcasts that I didn't know that was a crime that was happening now, because I'm listening I'm listening to podcasts
Fair.
from 2016.
Sure. Yeah. That'll do it. Yeah, and they have one of the journalists they talked about. He calls himself they call him like Turtle Boy or Journalist Jesus or something. And I was like, this, like, that's what I think of when I
Yeah.
think of what's wrong with media.
Yeah.
Is like, and I think I've only listened to half the episode so far and have not watched a documentary. Everyone who's listening to us has probably watched at least one documentary because there's
Probably.
several.
Yeah.
So sorry, I don't know what's going on. This is my correlation to Freddie. And so then Chilton's talking about the Tooth Fairy, and he's like, we have to call him the Tooth Fairy, not the dragon, because that's really going to piss him off. He's like, that's
Yeah.
what's going to get him, because he apparently was becoming this dragon. And Will is hyping up all of Chilton's statements. Every time he says something, Will makes it darker. And again, kind of funny. I don't know what this episode is about. Like, I don't know what the vibe was supposed to be, but it is such a weird
like
this episode.
But then Chilton gets in on it too. He like gets so hyped up that then he's like, this is a child of nightmares.
Right. It's so crazy. And they're like so down to involve Freddie. Like now they're like besties now.
Yeah.
And Will, like, she's like, can I get a picture of you in a robe, like looking over this? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, we'll take a picture over here. And then he like gets Chilton to take a picture with him.
You know, he does say, or we can just take a picture by the window. Yeah. He's like, how about not the robe?
Right. Look, I don't know what's gonna happen though. Like he's in with Freddie now.
He is a married man.
So I don't think he's gonna sleep with her. I think he's just gonna. I think he's like, you think that's gonna be what the headlines need? Great, let's do it.
Yeah, but he still isn't gonna like take his clothes off in front of her.
Well, no, but you could. A robe is not your clothes off if you're like tied up in your study with your robe on.
So awkward. Will is so awkward. His only. Like the fact that he's married feels incorrect.
It does. That is true.
Because
that is true.
He has hit on he awkwardly hit on Alana. He was in this weird relationship with Hannibal that he's only kind of in because he doesn't even realize that it's happening. Mm-hmm. And he had sex with a lesbian.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to talk about. What was her name? Margot.
Yeah, so like his only relationships are with another man. His like mentor.
He didn't know it was a relationship.
He didn't know it wasn't a relationship with his mentor and a lesbian.
Right.
So the fact that he even got married is a lot. Him getting into a robe in front of another female human being, not going to happen.
But she has already seen him naked while he was asleep.
Yeah, because he took pictures of her without his consent.
Right. So like, what's a robe now?
Consent. The consent is the part that needs to happen here.
Right. No, consent is important. Yes. On board with that. No,
but I'm saying she can only see him naked without his consent. He would never consent to that. Right. He is too awkward.
That's fair. He is very awkward. Yeah. So Will's like, Chilton, do you want to join this picture? Which we learn later matters. But like he puts his hand creepily on him. And Chilton flinches. It's like, you are so nervous about Will, which is unfortunately very fair right now.
Right.
And then we go over to Jack and Will, and they're walking around the park, talking about Tooth Fairy. And we learned that he's trying to get Will to meet up with Tooth Fairy, and he has snipers everywhere. And he's like, and you have your armor. Looks like I wrote crown. He doesn't have a crown. He has armor.
No, were you trying to write Kevlar?
No, I was trying to write armor. I just can't read my own stuff, my own handwriting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Will's like, yeah, but 7 out of 11 times he's gone for the headshot. And Jack's just like, eh. Like, he just like does it. He's just like, okay. Like, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
No reaction.
Yeah. You can only miss so many times. And 7 out of 11 is a pretty high number to miss already. So we go back to Chilton, and he's talking about his next book. When he gets got, like he is in a car talking to probably his publisher about all this stuff, and he just gets like yanked out of the car and taken.
And it literally was like zoink. It was the weirdest.
Yeah, this was a weird scene. Like to have such a similar team that's working on this episode, it was a weird episode.
I kind of loved it though. There was like
I
one
did
moment,
too.
there was one moment that I hated, which obviously
Yeah, we'll
we'll
get
all
there.
know. But like the humor in this episode and the fact that they were like, here's all the things from the book / movie that we're taking, but this is how we're changing them and this is how we're making it. It almost felt like they filmed this after they knew they got canceled and were just having fun.
Yeah.
Like that the actors
That's
feel
exactly how it
the
felt.
actors feel more like they're just like how much of Chilton this episode was just Raul Esparza
Oh my
just
gosh, all
saying
of
shit.
it.
Like, you know what I mean?
All
Like,
of it. Yeah.
so it very much felt like we filmed this after we knew we were canceled and we were about to like have our best fucking life on this episode.
Yeah. It was really fun in that sense. For sure. So then he gets got, and then obviously it's Francis, and he's like, "Can I get you a blanket?" And I'm like, "You are being very nurturing for someone who has clearly damaged this man."
You're right.
And Chilton starts talking about his back, and he's like, "It hurts, like it kind of burns. Have I been burned? Am I burned?" And Francis just starts repeating "burned" over and over.
He's like, "Oh, that's a good idea." That's what
Yeah,
it felt like.
unfortunately, yeah. So sorry, my laptop's dying. Okay. Oop, don't need to mess with my mic. We know how that goes. So he starts telling him, he's like, "This is your chance for like atonement. Like you've been lying," and it's like, and it looks like he's like fully glued to this chair. It did take me a little too long to realize that this is the scene with Freddy from the movie.
Oh no, I immediately knew. I immediately knew because I like recognized how it was, and I go, "Oh, that was such a clever way to do it."
It was such a good way to do it because I was like, it doesn't make sense to do it with Freddy anymore.
No.
And so I was like, but you still have your journalist side of someone who's writing lies. Like I didn't even like put two and two together, but it was a good way to do it. So then Chilton tells him that he's scared and he's like man to man, blah, 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 blah. And Francis is like, goes off into this whole philosophical thing about like man to man means you're trying to be very frank, but I'm a dragon and all this stuff. And then he starts asking him like, are you praying to God while you're here? Like, do you think God is in attendance? Like he's going through this whole rigmarole.
Very strange.
It was very strange. And he's starting to try and show him like his face. And while he's doing that, Reba shows up. And so we learned that he had called out sick that day because, he's got other plans. And so Reba had brought him soup because she loves him.
Because she's in too deep.
In too deep. And so she comes inside. And he, of course, had warned Chilton not to say anything. And so Chilton's just like staring at her, but not saying anything because he thinks she'll die because she for sure would.
Oh, yeah. But also, I don't know if he realizes that she's blind. Like, he must.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he says it later. So, like, he knows she's blind. But then she leaves. And Francis goes back to showing him pictures of everything. He starts showing him all the people he killed and this and that. And, of course, he has the picture of Will. And him from the paper or whatever website they put it on.
Yeah.
And he says, and he just starts saying, "Do you see?" on repeat. And he's showing how, like, Will put you up to this. Like, you were the sacrificial lamb or whatever in this instance.
Yeah.
And then Chilton starts saying he blames Will. And he's telling him, he's like, "This was all Will's idea. I wouldn't have said any of that. Like, I just did what I was told." And Francis asks him if he will tell the truth. Of course, he's like, "Yeah, bro. Like,
right.
What else am I supposed to do at this point?" And then we see the full tattoo again. He's like, doing the display. And then he says he's going to send him home with some ice for his back. And he's like, "This is going to make you feel better. You're going to tell the truth. Like, we're going to have you like say it in front of camera. Everything's going to be fine." And Chill's like, "Absolutely. Whatever you want. I'm in 100%. And so Francis films him saying that, that it was Will's fault or whatever. And he's like, "One more thing before you go."
Yeah.
This is the worst part of the entire episode. Perhaps the entire season. It's rough.
It might be one of the worst things of the entire show.
Yeah.
Which
It
is
was
saying
very
something
much.
because there's some pretty rough things, but this one was.
Yeah. Not as bad as the violin or the angel people,
Mm.
but maybe next.
But you know why I think it was worse? Because those ones we saw after. This one we
The after
saw it
effect, yeah.
happening, and
Mhm.
that was what freaked me out. It was
Yeah,
the
that was rough.
act of it happening that I did not like.
Right. So he like bites his tongue out of his mouth, which is just, yeah,
No, he bites his
disgusting.
lips off of his face.
I thought he bit his tongue out too.
No, I don't think so. He literally bites his lips off of his face and then that's why he's still screaming. Like that he's able to still scream because his
I was
tongue.
really wondering how he could still talk because I knew he got the
No.
lips, but I thought he got the
Yeah,
tongue
no, that's
too.
why he was still screaming because his tongue's still in there, but that's why he bit both of his lips
Yeah.
completely off. So like from here
Yeah.
down is just blood and teeth and
Yeah, it was wild. And so then
I thought he was going for the
Good.
tongue and I was like, that's disgusting. But then I realized that it was actually like his lips, and I was like, oh no, that's worse. That is worse.
Yeah.
Somehow that is worse.
Yeah. So then we go to Hannibal and Bloom, and she's delivering this package to him, and it's the package with the lips, obviously. And he's like, I get it. Chilton offended me too. It's like, you are so laissez-faire about this. I mean, obviously he meant for all this to happen, so it is what it is.
Right.
And we learn that one of the lips is missing once Jack comes in, and he's just like, no, this is fine. This is all you need. So he's
like, I saved you
one.
one.
Yeah.
Well, they show him eating it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he asked them what their plans are, and they just tell him. And I'm like, you're just gonna tell him your whole plan was to like piss off the Tooth Fairy and all this stuff with Chilton, and that Will was like, you're just giving him everything about your information.
Yeah. So stupid.
Wild. So then we actually get to watch the video of Chilton, which is where he says that, he blames Will, and Will just starts having a panic attack because he also goes into detail about all of the things that Tooth Fairy is going to do to Will once he finds him and gets hold of him. So
that's
fair
good
to go into a panic attack. So we go back to Will and Belinda, and they're talking about all of the things that have happened. And she starts telling him, she's like, are they talking about we're all making our way through the inferno. Like everyone's going through the is it 9 circles of hell?
7
circles of hell. I never remember. I haven't read Dante yet. And then she starts telling him, she's like, but now I understand why you put your hand on him. You meant for all of this to happen. You wanted to be like, he's here with my consent. I did this.
Yeah.
He's my man. And you knew this was going to happen. So she's like, you were curious to know what was going to happen. And he's basically like, I mean, I was curious, but like, I didn't want to like die, but I was curious. And then she's like, you basically lit the match. And she also tells him, she's like, Hannibal has agency in this world, even if you don't know like what's going on, because he still has you.
Yes.
And then we get the fiery wheelchair scene for real. So I thought we were done because we already did the fake one, but nope, we're still burning bodies alive.
But I did like that they said that he did it because they did it to Freddie, and so it was like that was the inspiration, so it doesn't like take away.
Yeah, I thought so too. It was really well explained.
Yes,
but it was upsetting.
Oh yeah,
wasn't great. But he did get dumped into a fountain, so he did not die. He
got some ice.
Burned alive. Yeah, good for him. And so then we go to Will and Jack, and we learn that Chilton is still alive. So he's lost his lips. His entire body is burned, but he's still alive. And so then Will goes to talk to him, and he's of course like, you did this. I know that you set me up. And Will's just like, yeah. Whatever. Let's move on. What else did you learn? No sympathy. What did you learn? And he says he saw a blind Black woman, and they know it's Reba because they heard him talking about Reba on the phone with Hannibal. And then we flash to her, and she's been kidnapped. And she's trying to like talk her way out of it because we know she's like super smart. And she's like, I didn't know that I meant this much to you, but now that I do, like, I'm a little uncomfortable with how you're handling it.
She was like, I never meant to, like, I wasn't trying to hurt you. Like, I'm here for you. Like, we can figure this out.
Yeah. And so she's trying to like talk her way out of this. And he starts being like, there were some really special things that happened in Chicago and Buffalo or wherever they were.
Yeah.
And he's like, the media said it was murder, but these people have changed. And then he starts talking more and more about it. And she's obviously
Yeah.
figured out what happened. And then he tells her he's the dragon.
Yeah.
And that's the
Well,
end of the
he asked
episode.
her, he says, who did the newspaper say did it? She was like the tooth
Yeah.
fairy, and then he starts to like panic, and she goes, no,
Yeah.
I mean the red dragon. Like she's genuinely like, I don't fucking know, but she realizes that that was the wrong answer,
Yeah.
and so then she says the
Yeah.
red dragon, and he said, I am the red dragon.
And that's the end of the episode. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it makes sense that this is where we go. I actually really like how they paced this half of the season and like everything with the Red Dragon because it doesn't feel like it's. I was afraid it was going to feel super drawn out. It really doesn't. Um, but obviously, like next episode is going to be the um catching the dragon, maybe saving Reba. I feel like in one version of the movie she survived and in one she didn't, and I don't remember if I made that up or not. Um, but obviously there is the added weirdness of the fact that like Hannibal is a player in this version of the story. So I don't know. I'm curious.
I know it's very strange how things are going to go because we only have one episode left. I mean, we know or we have the idea
Yeah.
that um, it's ending on a cliffhanger. Sorry, I'm getting inundated with baby shower stuff. And so I don't know how they're going to handle it because
Right.
I do think they know I mean, we talk about it. It seems like they know they're canceled, but I don't think they knew they were canceled until it was over because I think it ended on a cliffhanger. Um,
I-
and so I'm interested to see what's going to happen next. Um, I mean, I think we'll save Reba. I think we'll get to that.
but did I make up that she died in one of the versions?
Yeah, she got saved in both.
Oh, she got
I think
saved in
she
both.
I don't I don't
Yeah.
think she got burned in both. I think there was only one that she was really close on, and I think the other one that she didn't even get very like far on, right?
I don't even remember.
I'm pretty sure that one of them didn't really have her get that far. Um, but I think so. I think that they'll save her. Um, I think Will's going to do something bonkers.
Yeah, Will usually does do something bonkers.
Yeah, and then I think we're going to be left with an unsatisfying ending.
Hmm. I think I'll be satisfied with the end of this story arc.
Yeah, yeah. I think we'll get. I hope we'll get the end of Tooth Fairy, but I don't know how they would have dragged it on anymore.
Right.
So like, I'm sure we'll get that.
We're too close to the end of the actual story.
Right, right. So it has to end. It's not like they could start a new season with it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't have any trivia for you. There is like no news about this episode. So that is what it is. So who do you want to punch in the face?
So many people, really. It's kind of hard to pick, but I guess Francis. He's
Yeah,
pretty much
that's
the worst.
he's definitely the worst. I would like to punch Jack
Okay.
because he's just put Will through so much and he knows it every time. Like maybe in the beginning he didn't, but we're way too far in that he knows that he is just like
Right.
spiraling Will and putting him in danger. Like,
Yeah.
so it's just a little bit too much. And it's like it's one thing to catch a serial killer and it's like one thing to use him for Hannibal, but like you gotta find a new guy. You gotta find a new guy for new serial killers. Will is not the only person on the planet
I
who
don't
knows how
know.
to do this.
I think everyone's in love with Bill.
Well, yeah, but like he's not the answer to everything. And also like all of Will's information now is coming from Hannibal. So like I don't know. I feel like you could have a better person. You can give Will a break. Let him go live his married life. Um, so I'm a little salty at Jack.
I mean, I get it. I do.
Yeah. So who's your MVP?
Um, God, Freddie, because she was funny. Like, it's about as much
Yeah.
as I got. Everybody else was fucking awful.
Yeah, I probably would have also gone with Freddie. Had Will not put Chilton in the situation, I probably would have gone with Will.
Yeah, Will was
Um,
okay until you realized that he was playing right into everybody else's
yeah.
bullshit
So I think
again.
I'm gonna have to go with Reba because she didn't do nothing
She
wrong.
didn't. She is a sweet baby
She's
angel
she's a sweet baby angel who's just trying to protect herself.
who just fell in love with a narcissist,
Yeah.
which we've
And protect
all,
herself not to other people's detriment, which everyone
yeah.
else is trying to protect themselves to other people's detriment.
Yeah. And but like how
So
who can really blame her for falling in love with a narcissist? We've all done it.
sure, we've all done it. It happens. Bless it. But yeah. Um, all right, so that is our episode. We have one left, and then we'll be watching Silence of the Lambs, getting into Clarice, and then watching Hannibal. I was like, what's
Yeah.
the last one? Just Hannibal.
Just
Um,
Hannibal.
so we got our work cut out for us upcoming, but I hope this episode is better than I think it's gonna be. That's my only hope because it is our last one, and then we are putting NBC's Hannibal aside.
Yeah, like I said, I think that it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna wrap up the Dollarhide story well. I just worry about what it's gonna introduce that it didn't need to because
Right, right.
so
Yeah, because yeah. I mean, we had said we were 7 seasons in. Bless his heart. Bless his heart. Anyways, so if you have thoughts, feelings, etc., email us, deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CE Cloud 13.
and you can find me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we'll see you on Sunday for Sci Fi Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.